Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about site structure. And when I talk about site structure, I'm really talking about the back end of your website, how you lay your pages out, your folder structure, all that kind of stuff. In the example here, we've got our home page, and then right under that we've got folders that contain article pages. And these are basically like content pages for your website. So the way the web address would read in this instance is domain.com/folder-name/page name. Now your folder names and your page names, they should actually be named with your keywords. So make sure that you get the keywords in those names, like in the folder names and the page names. Now when you're doing folders like this, the only reason to do folders is if you're going to have a lot of pages and you want to keep them organized a little bit. But what I would not do is I wouldn't do it this way here. I would not do like folder, folder, and then page names. Because the deeper the search engine has to dig through these folders, the less relevant that those pages become. So kind of keep it to either this structure, or actually the best structure is really not to have any subfolders at all and just have the pages right in your main web index folder. So in this instance it would be domain.com/page name. And basically when you do your keyword research, let's say you come up with 5 keywords, you should really make a page for each one of those keywords and make a corresponding article with content just specifically related to that keyword. So again, if you're going to have a small site, do it this way, where you just have your home page and then your article pages, or whatever type of content pages they are. They might not be an article, it might be an About Us page or a Contact Us page. Whatever your pages are, this is the best way to do it. And followed up by the second best way to do it would be, if you're going to have a larger site, make those subfolders, but keep them all on the same level. Don't make a folder inside a folder inside a folder. It just makes it more difficult for the search engines to index those type of pages. We've seen that in the past. I've done some testing on this, and the pages that are closer to the top seem to get a little more relevancy. So keep that in mind when you're laying out your site structure, and that will do you well. Now another thing, when you're naming your pages, if you're using a web program or WordPress or something like that, you probably don't have to worry too much about this, but you don't want to have any spaces in your in anything in your domain. You can't have spaces in your domain name, obviously, nor in your folders or your page names. It'll cause errors in some browsers, and it could just get skipped right over by the search engines. So if you're going to separate words in your page names, like in our instance, hemorrhoid treatment, you would do hemorrhoid-treatment or hemorrhoid_treatment. Both of those are legitimate separators. So those would be fine to separate your keywords in your pages, your folders, and also in your domains. You can't buy a domain that has a space in it, so it's got to have a dash. And they don't actually allow underscores in the domain name, so only dashes. But when it comes to your pages and your actual website, you can get away with either. Now let's take a look at the site structure from a look and feel standpoint. The most important thing to a search engine is that it's able to crawl through your site. And that's how search engines kind of index the web. They'll find your site through a link from another site, and one of their spiders will... Actually, a spider is nothing more than just a search engine robot that's going around the web looking at different pages. And they follow them. They go from one to the next. And that's what we refer to when we talk about spidering a site. That simply means the search engine comes into your site from a given point. Whoever's linking to you, it might be your home page, might be a sub page. But when they land on that page, that whatever that page is, what they do is they start following the links, and that's spidering. So they start to spider your site. And as they follow these links, they're indexing every page that they find. So it's very important that from any page in your site, you're able to link to all the other pages. Now, I know that's a little contradictory to what you've heard about squeeze pages and landing pages, and they don't want you to have any action other than just fill in the opt-in form, and that's true in that case, but I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about an actual website that we're getting SEO to drive traffic to. So in this case, focus on the navigation. The navigation is very important. That's one of the major things that the search engine needs to be able to go through your site. Now, we should talk a little bit about the sitemap. Google recently, or actually quite a while ago, Google released this rumor out into the public that you needed a sitemap. I've been in this game for a long time. And when Google tells you you need something, I'd be very, very skeptical of that. There's absolutely no reason in the world that you need a sitemap on your site if you have links that go from one page to the next and your navigation is correct. A sitemap is absolutely unnecessary. Now, in the Google Webmaster Tools, they actually have a thing in there where you can generate a sitemap and place it on your site. Now, if you read their Webmaster Terms of Service, they tell you right in there directly that you should not be doing any SEO efforts. You should just be building your site as good as you can for your viewers and not trying to manipulate their results. Well, why in the world would they put out a Webmaster Tools to show you how to manipulate their results if that's against their terms of service? Be very, very careful with that. I've seen this in the past. They'll put out a poison apple and see who bites on it. And then at some point when enough people bite, then they go ahead and they change their algorithm and they filter all those people out. I saw this a few years back when they put out the poison apple about reciprocal linking. That was leaked directly from Google. They leaked that into the media, that reciprocal linking was the way to get to the top. And basically, they wanted to find out who was manipulating their results so they could get rid of them in one fell swoop. That's exactly what they did. I had a lot of my clients ask me about that at the time, if they should do that, and I told them, no way, don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And I saved the ones that listened to me. When they made the switch and wiped out all those sites, the majority of my clients stayed clean and clear and still on the top. So I believe that the Google sitemap is again a poison apple that they've leaked out into the media, that they're going to do that at some point in the future. So I highly recommend that you steer clear of Google sitemaps. If you want a sitemap, if you need one for some reason, just go ahead and make your own. Just make an HTML page, put all the links to your pages, and that'll be good enough. That's all a sitemap really is. It's just a one-page glimpse of all the pages in your website. Now, way back over 10 years ago, when Yahoo was really setting the rules to the game, they had basically a different criteria where they measured whether or not your site was going to be in their index. And one thing was, you'll see down here at the bottom, I've got all these text links. Basically, it's text link navigation, almost like a sitemap built into every page. And that's what they like to see. And some of the engines still have that little bitty criteria in there. It might not count for a lot, but I usually go ahead and incorporate that into any site I build. I also make sure that all my navigation is text. Even up here, this is all text-based navigation. Even though it looks like graphics, it's disguised, but it's actually text. And the reason for that is going to become very clear when we get into the linking portion of the training. So just know that these are what's called anchor text links. They're text links basically with the keyword that links to the page. And you'll understand a little bit more about that when we hit that section, as I said. But that's what's really important to the search engine, is that they can spider the site, and all these links are in there. And this should flow through your entire site, with the exception of squeeze pages and landing pages, because they have their own purpose. They have their own marketing purpose. If you're sending or funneling traffic directly to those pages to get people to opt in, that's a whole different discussion in itself. But I'm just talking about straight SEO here, how to get these pages to the top and drive traffic to them. So just in a nutshell, the reason for text links is basically the search engines can follow those, they can read those. Now if you're using fancy Java rollovers, the search engine doesn't always necessarily even know that it's a link. If the Java code is all convoluted and cut up in different places like they usually are, sometimes the search engine can't even spider your site. So that just kills a lot of sites. If you've got, let's say, Flash navigation, a lot of people will want this real fancy Flash nav bar. And sure, it looks fantastic. But if the search engine can't spider your site and it can't get to the content deep in your site because of that, then what's the point? It doesn't matter how good your site looks, it's how good it works. If you can't get traffic to it because you've made it pretty like that, what's the point? So don't get caught up on these real fancy sites. If you want search engine traffic, you really need to abide by their rules, and they don't really care what the site looks like. They care the functionality of it. So it's always been my recommendation to steer clear of the Flash navigation. It's okay to have Flash in your website. If you want some kind of a slideshow or a photo gallery or something like that, then that's fine. You can use Flash for that stuff, but not for your navigation. I mean, that's just a terrible waste of your site to not allow the search engines to spider through your site. And the same with Java rollovers. You run into the same problem there. So the cleaner and simpler you can keep your navigation for the search engines, the better they'll like it, the faster they'll index your pages, and you'll see that there's something we're going to talk about called the page rank of the pages. And page rank comes from links coming into those pages, and they get an authoritative value. And if you've got a site with a lot of pages, like I've got some sites out there for clients that have hundreds of pages, and we've got page rank on some internal pages strictly from internal linking, just from the links from our own pages, because we've got so many pages and the links all point to that page from each other. So you can actually build internal page rank as well as external page rank. So again, I just can't stress the importance enough of using simple text navigation on your site. If you want the site to look fancy, put the fancy stuff elsewhere, not in your navigation. And make sure that you've got good, clean navigation, and don't worry about duplicating it. It's actually better, for your end users if you have the navigation in multiple places. Like here, we've got basic navigation at the top to all the main things. Then down the side, we've also got navigation, simple text navigation to all of our article pages. And then down the middle, we've got navigation here. Some of this navigation is graphic navigation, and you'll notice that we've got alt tags that we're going to talk about in the next lesson. But there's just a ton of links and navigation within this site. And then if the user does get down to the bottom, they've got links here rather than having to scroll all the way back up to the top. So it's really doing them a favor too. It's a good user experience. So links are like the key importance here when we're talking about your site structure. So keep that in mind. If you're building a site or you've got somebody building a site for you, you want to sit them down and have this conversation, because a lot of people that build websites are artists. They're graphics people. They like pretty. They don't know about functionality. So it's your job to make sure that you guide them in what you want. Don't just take what they give you, because they're probably going to hand over a disaster. And you really don't want that. So if you're building the site yourself, or you've already got the site built, take a look at it. If it's not right, go back, take the time right now to go back and fix it. And if you've got somebody else building the site, definitely, like I said, have that conversation with them so they know clearly what you want. And that's really about it for the site structure. Next, we're going to talk about tags in the next lesson, and that's going to be really important. So I'll see you then.